Hello, welcome to Her Strength, Their Future, a program dedicated to empowering women and girls and working tirelessly to ending harmful practices like FGMC. I am your moderator, Maimuna P. Mendy. We will not be only discussing FGMC, we will be discussing harmful practices like child marriage and rape. I am not alone in the studio. I am here with cases who are from the civil society organization, social worker, and a legal person. I will allow the one from the civil society organization to introduce himself to our viewers. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, dear viewers. We are very happy to be in this program today, and we hope that we will have a fruitful discussions. Good morning to you all.
Thank you very much, Uncle Falo, for being with us in the studio here. Ma, you're welcome to the studio once again.
Thank you very much. I am Mariam Singate, Senior State Counsel, and I'm quite delighted to be here to discuss issues concerning FGM and other harmful practices against women. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mariama. We are glad having you, and you're welcome too.
Thank you very much, Maimuna. My name is Aminata Jeng, and I work with the Network Against Gender-Based Violence, and I'm a social worker at Sanifin General Hospital, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aminata, Uncle Falo, and Mariama for being with us in the studio, and I believe we'll have a truthful and an interactive discussion here. Just as I said in the beginning, we'll be discussing issues like child marriage, rape, and FGMC. This program is brought to you by the Network Against Gender-Based Violence in partnership with the UN Women, working tirelessly in ending all harmful practice and fighting for the rights of women and girls. Uncle Falo, starting with you, can you give us an overview of when we say child marriage, what do we mean?
Thank you very much. When we talked of child marriage, we mean contracting a marriage with a person who is below the age of 18 years. It could be a male or a female person, but any person who is below the age of 18 years is regarded as a child in the Gambian laws. And if you contract a marriage between those people, then it becomes child marriage.
Thank you, Uncle Falo, for giving an insight of that. We have an outside studio materials of people saying issues regarding child marriage. Let's take a listen to this and we'll come back to the panel discussion.
Because ni football sit la moni motema ni ala sanjo jude na sanji tan ni saysi e balon na da sa sanji tan ni sayla because alma mo le ka football sit wolle ka mabe ni wolle ka nyin ku jamaade bari mu ka juve be dinding men football sit kan dinding nyimbe nyaade len dum misilme ya fanga men fo dinding ni nyanta lo na la abe tembo men do wolle ka mistake jamaake football do bi ka city kono ka ni nyanta muso jelal personally janni bala football sit kaji ko abe harjeri ne ban walla mentale ba sital so lat nan tel ba advocate kan pour nga ni almamo le kacha ni be football sit la sai e ka register e ba jela wo ba ngar ko ni etini e soro wa 90 years bolo mu kacha la te me along astaka because o kuma ta ba because jidi wato fang muso nyim fang akaba tan ni jido ko so wala nan tel fang la ta ko kuma so kuma la siga kan ron ni mu fende te me along ko akuma ta ba.
Welcome back from that break. That was a man who is working with the Islamic Council, and they have a policy that they're advocating for, working with the imams who normally tie this marriage between young people to ensure that before the marriage is taking place, there is been registration to know that whether the child is under 18 or not. So I think that is very important in our society. Going back to you, Mariama, what are the laws binding issue of child marriage?
Well, we have the Children's Act, which was amended in 2016 to prohibit all forms of child marriage in the Gambia. That particular act not only criminalizes child marriage, but it also criminalizes the act of anyone celebrating the marriage, anyone solemnizing the union, and this includes the invitees, that's the guests, the griots that would dance in that marriage, the parents of the children involved, and any other person that knew of the marriage and failed, like a person of authority that knew of the marriage and fails to report child marriage. This was done because there was a wide consultation before enacting this legislation, and they realized that in order to secure a total ban, they must also ensure that the traditional practices like celebrating such marriages is also prohibited. So that's why they included the celebration of it and also the solemnization of it as well. And equally, there is an ongoing government project called the Sweat Project. Although there is an act prohibiting the child marriage, but the Sweat Project is sort of like trying to ensure that all marriages are registered. This way, we can also keep track of marriages that are not between consenting adults. So if there is a marriage, if it will be in a database form. So if there is a marriage between kids, it will be flagged, and they can easily be reported and prosecuted.
Thank you very much. I think what you were saying, it was similar to the videos that we have here had. You have also mentioned something that is very important. Normally people misconcept, they're saying that if the parents will only be arrested because they're the one who taking their girl child to marriage or taking their male child to marriage, not knowing that everyone who is involved in the marriage ceremony can be prosecuted for attending that child marriage. Uncle Falo, going back to you, to what are you guys doing at the network level or at the civil society level to ensure that there is creation of awareness for people to know what does the law say about child marriage, and how do you ensure that there is eradication of child marriage in our society?
Thank you very much, Maimuna. I think we're doing quite a lot of things. First and foremost, even this program we are doing is part of the programs we do to ensure that we sensitize our people, we raise awareness on the issues regarding child marriage. We know that child marriage has a lot of effects on our girl child, especially because most of those children who are married are the female children, and it prevents them from attending higher education, for instance, and also it has serious health complications to them. So therefore, we do a lot of engagement with communities that includes community leaders like the imams, the alcalos, and other opinion leaders within the communities. We also do school outreach, where we talk to teachers, we talk to students to understand the effects of child marriage, but we also sensitize people on the law so that they understand that you cannot withdraw, for instance, according to Section 28 of the Women's Act, you cannot withdraw your child from school for a purpose of marriage. And like Mariama says, the amended version of the Children's Act 2016 has also prohibited child marriage. So people need to know not only the educational implication, but also the health implication, but the legal implications if you are involved in child marriage. So we do a lot of sensitizations with communities, with people who are responsible, and especially the imams, because they are the ones who contract this marriage. So they need to know that if they are involved in tying any marriage where one of the parties is below the age of 18, they are infringing with the law, and they can be prosecuted for that. So imams are very critical, and I think most of the imams now in the Gambia are beginning to understand that and would request for birth certificates or ID cards before they conduct marriages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Recently, we have also seen you guys going around regional engagement to engage these regional leaders in our community to also sensitize them on the issue of child marriage with other harmful practices. How effective was that?
It was very, very effective because in these sensitizations, we targeted key personalities in our regions, which include councillors, imams, alcalos, people working at the governor's office, health workers, and other community leaders. And these are very important people who can help in ensuring that our laws and our policies are enforced at the grassroots level. Once they know about the laws and the policies, and they know the consequences of engaging in child marriage, it can go a long way in preventing it from happening. And this is why we've been around all the regions in the Gambia, starting from Banjul and KMC to all the regions to URR, and have conducted these sensitization programs at the governor's offices and the mayor's offices to ensure that our people understand this. So it's really important, and the feedback we've got from them has been really very positive.
That's very interesting. Although going back to the grassroots level, sensitizing people on this issue for them to know the laws, because most of them do not know the laws abiding this. Although they will hear there is a law that anyone who married a child at the age of 16 or at the age of 18, this and this is the law, but they don't know what are the consequences. I think it is also important going back to our people, giving them feedback and sensitizing them on this issue. Going back to Aminata, who is a social worker at one-stop centers, how often do you receive cases of child marriage?
In our center at Carnifing General Hospital, it's not that often that we receive child marriage cases, because as we all know that the law of the Gambia has banned child marriage, and we all know that some of them are doing it on the ground. They are not making it as a ceremony, but they will tie the marriage and we will not know. But in cases where we come across such cases and it is being reported, when they report the cases and the police, these are the police that will bring them to the one-stop center. And when they brought them to the one-stop center, as you all know that our job as a social worker in the one-stop center is very important and very key. We provide psychosocial support for them, because these kids or these children, as we all say, the child marriage, they are going to school, and some of them, you know, they are very little, like they are 12 or 10. They don't even reach the age that the law says that they should get married, or they should, you know, because at that time they have to be in school. And then they will be going through trauma, stress, depression, as we all know. Even not only grown-up people go through depression or trauma, even kids or children also go through trauma. And so we also assess in those assessment, during the assessment and the risk assessment attached to all those things. So we will also see how we are going to help the child. And we also have a one-stop, an orange shelter, where we also take these children and then shelter them at that place, because we learned that they will not be safe at that place that they are living, maybe their parents or their guardians, because the marriage is already arranged or is being arranged to happen. So this is what the steps that, part of the steps that we take at the one-stop center.
Very important. I think the one-stop centers on proposal should be around all the regions, so that people can make the one-stop centers their friendly place or their home, to always go to the social workers and say out what is really in them. We have also seen sometimes parents might go to just to get their children married at the tender age. They will go to the hospital, change the birth certificate of the child, so that when the imam asks for the birth certificate, it will show that the child is 18 years or 18 above, while reality the child is under 18. But we, the society, we know who is a child, who is not a child, because the child was born in front of us. So I think we believe in a society where we believe in this word in the local language organization. Hardly do we see our neighbors report cases, because we say that they will point fingers at us, saying that we are the ones mixing out the society. But I think it is high time for us to take our laws in our hand, not through it the authorities or the civil society organization going to a site. Because it is going to be hard for me to be in the combos here, know what is in the provinces. I think if everyone take the laws in their hands, it will be very important. So how often, or have you ever received a case of child marriage, and how was the proceeding?
Well, I have never prosecuted a case of child marriage, and I do, since I started practice, I don't think I've had of a case of a child marriage. Like the social worker earlier pointed out, these are issues that are mostly done like in a hidden manner, and the society, even though it's criminalized, but in some communities is quite normalized. And the society, even though most of them know about these laws, they still choose to practice it underneath. And most of the time, it is the teachers sometimes that will report such. I know that just not long ago, a teacher reported an incident where one of his students was being forced out of school and intended to be married. So he reported the matter to the police, and the police went, crashed the wedding, and conducted the arrest. I, I, I'm not so sure if the police proceeded to prosecuting the matter, because both when it comes to some of these criminal issues, both the police and the Ministry of Justice can prosecute. That is, if it is not like a severe, the punishment is not quite severe, and it's on the threshold for the police can equally punish. And when it comes to child marriage, the police can prosecute as well. But the issues, I think most of the issues that we have in relations to these is the unavailability of witnesses. You report these issues, and then it's only even the child will be caused by the society or the parents not to say anything, not directly caused, but there's a notion that if you do talk against your parents, that means you are the one that is responsible for locking up your parents. So you know that nobody wants to lock up their parents. So these are some of the challenges that we have with these laws, because people are not willing to come forward and report. And if you don't report and you do not step forward to come and testify as a witness, then these cases cannot be successfully prosecuted. There are some measures though. The police have set up the Child and Gender Welfare Unit just to try and have a sensitive approach to these issues, but we still have a long way to go when it comes to enforcing the law on child marriage.
Yeah, I think that, oh, you have something to add on to
Yes,
what
I
you
just
were saying.
wanted to say that, like she's saying, we must understand that the issues of child marriage and some of the harmful traditional practices are issues that are kind of blend with our cultures and our tradition. And in most of the cases, in fact, they have a religious dimension. And because of that, most of the people wants to continue practicing them despite that there is a law. And that makes it very difficult. And knowing the Gambia and the closeness of Gambian society, it's always very difficult for you to report your neighbor or to report somebody you are related to because of the stigma that would be attached to that, especially if you are a child and then this case involves your parent, like she said. And because of that, reporting of cases of child marriage, for instance, or FGM, has not been quite done in the past. But notwithstanding, we all know that these practices are ongoing. And this is where the sensitization is very, very critical and important for people to accept themselves that these practices are bad, they are harmful to our children, and then decide to abandon them. It has to be accompanied, of course, by the law to ensure that those who are stubborn, quote unquote, would then be prosecuted to set precedents to show to people that yes, if you want to continue infringing on the rights of children because they are children, and just because you are their parents doesn't mean that you can do anything with a child, because it has serious consequences. So therefore, we just calling on all communities to abide by the law if they don't want to have conflict with the law and face the consequences.
Yeah, that is very important. And the other thing is taking your child or taking your child to marry at a tender age, you are restricting that child to gain the knowledge that they want. You are restricting that child to be a better person in the future. Imagine a child at the tender age, less than 18 years, rearing another child. It is very funny seeing a baby rearing another baby. The responsibilities goes back to the mother, because I am a little girl. I cannot take care of myself, and you expect me to take care of another child. So all those responsibility goes back to the mother. I think it is high time for us to allow our girl children or our children to go to school, educate, and be a better person. If you go to a society and you see someone's son being a lawyer, being a doctor, you become so proud as a parent. Why not we allow our children to go be those doctors, be those lawyers that we want them to be? I think you have something to add.
I just wanted to add that, subjecting a child to child marriage is not only child marriage, but you're also subjecting the child to rape on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I gave a presentation somewhere in Birkama and like community women, and after my presentation on rape, the woman I could tell that she wanted to talk, but she was not comfortable. So we created the right atmosphere for her to contribute. And she was like, she was given for marriage at the age of 13. She ran away. They brought her back, tied her up, and forced her to consummate the marriage. Okay. He said she can never forget what happened to her on that day. This is someone that is still married to the same person. And it has been, from her age, it probably has been about 30 years since that incident. But she cannot forget what happened to her on that day. And I just want people to know that just because women are silent on these issues does not mean that it did not harm them. Some people live with this trauma all the days of their lives. And they're in and out of depression. And people pay less attention to depression in our societies because we feel that depression is a white man thing. No, it's also an African thing because it's an emotional thing. There are certain things that we go through in life that it creates a scar in our minds. And this is one of them. This not only impedes the child's growth and education, but it also affects the child in the long run because you're subjected to continuous rape. And another thing that the child may be subjected to is physical violence. Because here is a child who is still a child and has not matured and still childish in her ways. And you have mostly a matured man that she is married to. So the girl will not be able to handle a home, manage a home well. So whenever she falters, the whip goes. Whip, you hit. It's easy to beat a child. So you're not only subjecting the person to early marriage, but you're also subjecting the person to rape and also physical violence almost on a daily basis.
And just to add on that, you mentioned rape and physical violence. They may also go through psychological and emotional violence, even economic violence, because most of them, they solely depend on their husbands because these are children and they are not independent, they are not working. They are dropouts, so they don't have any source of income that they can engage themselves in to have something at the end of the day, even to take care of themselves. Sometimes when they get when they are pregnant and they have to go to antenatals, sometimes these children, they will be there. They don't even have money to buy breakfast. They will not give them any cash or any cash for transportation or anything to support themselves. So these are challenges also that they will also face. And at home also, at home level, when they are living with their sister-in-laws or their mother-in-laws, and these are children, and at that stage, they are supposed to be in school or at the playing ground or etc. etc. And then you want that child to behave in you know, like an adult or like someone that is matured and she's not matured. She's still a child. A child is a child. So she's still a child. So she needs to play with her mates or something. So, and sometimes you can tell the child that, look, you have to behave. These ones are not your mate. You are married. These ones are not married. So at some point they can go through emotional and psychological violence because of the words that you also the family or the husband, you know, throw back to them or tell them. So these are very challenging.
Yeah, I think
things.
this takes us back to another day. The next discussion that we have is the issue of rape. Sometimes we think that rape only happen when you are not married or you were going out and your man just come jump on you and rape you. Sometimes rape happens even with couples because immediately you use force to have intercourse with someone. That's a rape because you are not seeking her consent. So we have also seen sometimes this rape occurs at our home. You can see a dad raping her own child, or a brother or someone who is living in the compound raping someone else. So, Uncle Falu, going back to you, this question is with you. You have said you guys conducted a regional engagement with communities leaders across the country. How effective was that when it comes to rape? Were people willing to talk on issue of rape? Were they really willing to interact and tell the cause of rape?
Yes, I think the consultation have showcased that rape is a problem in the Gambia. Wherever you discuss the topic, you can see how parents are concerned, how community leaders are concerned, and the issues they raised. However, some of them would attribute it to dress code, you know, as always, because they think it's the dress code that is responsible for somebody being raped. But I always inform them that from my 27 years of experience working in this area, I've never seen a case where somebody was actually raped because of the dress she was wearing. It's never the case. You would find out that all the rape cases, most of them are against children who are very, very young, you wouldn't attribute the issue of dress code to why that individuals rape them. And the people who rape them are much, much older. People in their 30s, 60s, even sometimes in their 70s, raping somebody who's just 7 years old. And they just take advantage of the vulnerability of those children to rape them. That's what actually happened. So it's about attitude and bad behavior. And also, we always talked about some justifies the reason why they prefer child marriage is because they want to protect their children from rape and teenage pregnancy. I will always tell people that two wrongs cannot make a right. So because you are trying to prevent something wrong, you can't do that by also doing another wrong thing. So what you would be doing would be even more harmful to your child because you're preventing rape or teenage pregnancy, and then you force that teenager to go into marriage, whereas you would also suffer teenage pregnancy again and maybe raped and other forms of violence. So it's very important for us to really understand that as parents, as community leaders, the responsibility is on us to ensure that we protect our children, to ensure that we prevent all these different harms on our children, especially sexual violence. And as parents, you must be very protective, and you must be also very observant of your girl child, even the male child, because we've now start seeing male children being raped in this country as well, and the statistics is increasing, the number is increasing year after year. So meaning that you cannot say that you're going to only protect your girl child, you have to also protect the boy child because he is also at risk of being raped. So therefore, it's very, very important. We have the 199 helpline. We have the 1313 helpline and many other helplines in the Gambia that people can use to report. So before you wait until rape occurs, if you suspect somebody is doing something that could lead to rape, you can report, and then actions would be taken to prevent it. And I'm sure Mariama will talk about the law later on, but we have very, very, very severe laws and penalties against rape in the Gambia, and people need to know about that so that they can also be mindful of engaging on anything that is similar to sexual abuse or rape.
Thank you very much, Uncle Fala. I just wanted to add a point that you mentioned, that the responsibility of our parents to be sensitive and also to be mindful with our godchildren, even our male children. Sometimes, I don't want to use this word, but sometimes I feel like our parents are sometimes negligent or do not pay attention to a young child. You will see a mom who, you know that your child is not working, you'll be at home and say, Pamata bala mama $10, Pamata bala mama $15, mama. Where do you expect that child to get that money from? Or if the child remove the money and give it to you, you will not even ask the child, where did you get this money from? You will not question your child, because you know that the child is not working. The child, where is she getting their money? I think the parents really need to be sensitive of where our children are getting our money from. And also, sometimes we also see cases, your child will come to you as a parent, tell you that, Mom, this and this happened to me. You say, money, no, don't tell it to anybody, because of we fear the stigma that we are going to face in our society. Or even sometimes we see some parents sit with their children, educate them, engage with them so that their children can feel free to come to them and tell them what is happening to them. Because we have seen, if you have a mom who is working and a dad who is working, they will, before you wake up on bed, they already left from work. Before they came back, you're already asleep. Your child do not have that interactive or that familiarization with the parents to sit and chat with them. Even the child is facing some trauma or depression, hardly will she come to the dad or mom to say that, Mom, this is what happened to me. Or even she's been bullied or she's been raped. She cannot come to the dad or mom and say, Dad or Mom, this is what happened, because of there's no friendly connection between them. Going back to the issue of law, what happens if a girl child is being raped or a male child is being raped?
Okay, first I would want the viewers to understand what rape actually entails. There is a big misconception when it comes to what rape is. And I realized this during one of those famous cases last year that involved a minor. People are like, oh, but she consented. And, you know, consent and rape, when it comes to rape, it's a very sensitive thing. So I just want to delve into what rape is. Now, rape is any coercive act done towards a person. Now, like sexual act done towards the person. Now, when you say coercive, coercive is forceful. That is without the consent of the person. The Sexual Offense Act further defines the various sexual acts that can be done towards a person. There is the stimulation of the person's sexual parts. There is also insertion of things in the person, and there is also the one that we know, the vagina and sorry, I am quite raw when it comes to the law because that's how it is. So there is also the insertion of the penis into the vagina, and also the anal also. This is widespread like this because these are the circumstances we see around. Now, when it comes to the various circumstances where these acts can happen, it can be done through threat, force. A threat is like, for example, I come to you and I tell you, if you don't do it, I will kill you. Now, looking at our Gambian case and context, most of the cases, like Uncle Falu said, most of the cases we receive is within the home setting. And that tells a lot for a country that is supposedly quite religious. Most of the cases that we receive is within the home setting and children below the age of 15. I think the youngest case that I saw was a 2-year-old child.
That's
a
quite
2-year-old child.
serious.
It's quite sad, considering the society we live in and under the pretense that we live in. And it's high time we discuss these issues because these are quite prevalent in our societies because we go to court every day. And sometimes you see some of these cases, your heart aches. Because you'll be wondering, what possibly could a person gain from a child? Both male and female. Like Uncle Falu said, the male rape also is on the rise. The rape of children is on the rise. Male children is on the rise as well. Now, if you use threat or violence towards somebody for a sexual act, it's rape. When you intoxicate someone, the person is incapable of giving their consent. Even if the person says yes under that, that is not a yes because there is a circumstance that made the person say yes. The person is not aware of their environment. That is rape. Now, when you sleep with a child under the age of 13, that is rape. That's the worst of it, actually, because that child does not even understand the nature of sex. That is rape. Now, when you sleep with someone that is mentally imbalanced, who does not understand the nature of sex, that is equally rape as well. If it is a person below the age of from 14 to 16, that's defilement. There is a difference. Why is it defilement? Like one of my police friends will say, under 18 is government property. Any child under the age of 18 is government property. Now, if you have sexual contact with a person that is government property, you're flaunting the law because the law does not allow it. Why can't you allow the child to grow to the point of maturity and deciding whether he or she wants to have sex or not? But you induce, there's a form of manipulation there. That's why the law recognizes it, because you ought to be the grown-up and understand the nature of sex, but you induce the child gradually, and then you build a relationship with the child where the child agrees to have sexual contact with you. There's a form of manipulation there. That is why it's defilement. It's still defilement. It's still wrong. Now, the penalties differ. Like, for example, if you make a person intoxicated or the person sleep to the point that he or she does not understand an act that is being done on her, then you can go for 10 years imprisonment. Now, if you carry out force or you threaten an individual or a person that is below the age of 16 as well, and these acts are carried out, you force the person, not that the person consented, but you force the person, that is 15 years. Now, there is life imprisonment as well. That is, you harm the person, like in the process, you injure the person, both mentally and physically, or that the person is under the age of 13, or you knowing fully well that you have a sexually transmitted disease and you go rape somebody, or that you are like a person of authority, a person is under you, under guardianship, or you are the father of the child, or that you are the uncle of the child, or that you are a religious leader and ustaz to the child, or that you are a teacher or a headmaster of the child. In all those instances, you can go for life imprisonment. This is so because we realize most of the rape cases is either papa, uncle, brother, sometimes stepbrother, ustaz,
Teacher.
priest, teachers. Because those are the people that have access, easy access to these kids. So if you, under that setting, force yourself on the child, then you can go for life.
That was well explained. So I just want to ask, what if in a case where both the boy and the girl is under 18 and they have sex and one of them transfer disease to the other one, or the girl end up being pregnant? What does the law say on that?
Now, when it comes to minors, it's quite different. If it is that there was force involved in it, one of the minors forced another to have sex with them, then that becomes rape. And that minor can be prosecuted for rape.
Okay.
The law will not look at the fact that you are a minor, but you forced yourself on another person and you had sexual contact with the person. That is rape. But the law is silent on two consenting children.
Okay, I think that is very important. Another thing that I wanted to add to that is going back to the society that we live. Sometimes we see cases being reported to the police station, but the case cannot proceed because of there is no evidence. I think parents need to be aware, or guardians needs to be aware that when a child is raped, that blood or the clothes that they wore, no need for you to wash them. Take those clothes to the police station. Those clothes or those wounds will serve as evidence for the case to proceed, because it's going to be really hard, even though you know that I was raped, because you washed away the clothes or those evidence away. It is going to be hard for the cases to proceed to where you want the cases to be. It all goes back to our society. Sometimes too, we see cases that are taken to the police station. Our own members in the society will go to the police station, start to say, let's go back to the family level and discuss this. Lua kenduko is that Lua kenduko is a family, you know. So when you go back to that to the family level, discuss it, that trauma will continue to remain on the child, because immediately he sees the man or immediately he sees the woman, he or she would start thinking of what really happens to her, and that might affect the girl mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Maimuna, before we move on to FGM, I just want to say that it is very important for people to report cases of rape. This is not only because you want the perpetrator to be prosecuted, but because you want to protect your child. So no matter how close is the rapist to you, it's important that you report the matter so that your child could have access to medical care. One important thing is that if you report the case within 72 hours, the child or the girl, if it's a girl that is at a reproductive age, she would be given emergency contraceptives to prevent unwanted pregnancy. Secondly, also, she would also be given PEP to prevent also sexually transmitted infections like HIV, hepatitis, and other STIs. So these are very important things. But if you do not, after 72 hours, there is a risk of your girl contracting STIs. There is a risk of your girl having an unwanted pregnancy. And importantly also, they would have access to health care and psychosocial support that will help them to heal, mentally and also physically. So it is very important that no matter how close the rapist is to you, before you try to protect the rapist, protect your child. It is very important. That's what I just wanted to add to it.
Thank you very much, Uncle Falo. Mariama, before going to you, we have another video that we want to play to our viewers on the issue of rape, on what people think is the cause of rape.
Mteliya mol soto jam meli alon ko tak kata ku jamale ka ko to jam because ni amoy dame rep kita dame e ka wulle ye tewol city ye rep ni fasa bari mtel bal mtel lom problem multi bi because ite diwo ite aje ko ite sa fu to ko le yar nyame ite nyanti diwo bula lay kara ni te diwo man kara ni mo tata tirimbali yake wala oto ite banyantal silale ini ye pofta ni state e police station do fole step saje pour ka koñi kele ite bayana muru ye balang iko sainte a ko tugel ye dimo filibu ye mamari woni filibu ite bale ba tektiala everything is about wo du motal so mbe musol dan na nyim fana na nyim ko keta mol ye mol be lore wa place ko ye steps non menta ngebula yela do ko ke bar ni a case fran di police doron ite muso fanga be wula ite o case ba ye di wutu mantoro kon ite fanga tara o mantora kilon kon so nyi musol be nyi ko be du no be larin tol musol le kan tel musol le nyanta na jikol falinna pour ngandi wala sama fenke ini ngandi wala sama je.
Mariama, do you have anything to add before we move on to another topic?
Yes, I just wanted to add that I've already given the scenarios which can be referred to as like rape. I wanted to add that when it comes to the victims, there are different consequences of the rape itself. When it comes to kids, I've seen where a child is addicted to sex by virtue of the introduction of sexual activities to that child at an early age. So the child becomes used to the sex. Being used to the sex and enjoying the sex does not mean that it's not rape. It is rape because the act that you're performing on the individual should not be performed on the individual in the first place. I've also seen where someone is psychologically and physically affected by it. So we need to be mindful that it's not only that the person ought to be psychologically and physically affected by it, but also the person can also have like issues of like sexual addiction by virtue of the rape. So it's important for parents also to engage the services of social workers to address these issues when they happen. Marrying the person off does not resolve the problem.
That is very important. A wrong cannot correct a wrong. We also have something very important. That is our last topic of discussion. That is FGMC. It has been a talk of the town since when, and it was taken to the National Assembly, and the law has not been repealed. It is still illegal in the country. What happened to a person who what happened to a person who takes her child on FGMC, Mariam?
Now, there is a total prohibition on FGMC in the Gambia. I've heard debates of, oh, we don't practice female genital mutilation, we practice circumcision. It's just terminologies. There is a total ban on it. And the law is quite clear. That is the Women's Amendment Act of 2015. There's a total ban. And it categorizes all this. Whether you nip a little bit or you take it, whether it's the clitoris or it's the labia or it's the genital part, anything that has to do with cutting, nibbing, or touching the genitalia is criminalized under this particular legislation. And it goes on further, just like the issue of child marriage, further to say that failure to report is also criminalized. Not only celebrating it is criminalized, inciting it is criminalized. And all these carry a punishment of up to 3 years and 50,000. That is, you performing the act, you inciting it, you celebrating it. You can go up to 3 years, or you pay a fine of 50,000. Now, you failing to report as a leader or community leader, you can pay a fine up to $10,000. It's in the law. We are all under the law. The law has said this is illegal, so we have no choice but to abide by it. We are all, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian, we are all under law, and we are all under the protection of the law, and we have a duty to abide by the law. Failure to do so, the law will cast its whip on you. And additionally, not only the Women's Act, but we also have the Criminal Code, which also prohibits all forms of violent act against a child that is under your custody. Section 210 of the Criminal Code. If you do that to a child, they can charge you under the Criminal Act. The more charge, the merrier, because we just enjoy just adding charges on you. We'll charge you under the Criminal Code. We will charge you under the Women's Act as well. And also the Children's Act. The Children's Act also prohibits it. So it's either this law or the other one. So there's a total ban on it, just to let everyone know. There's a total ban on it. The law did not nitpick, maybe you take a little bit, or you don't seal. No. there is a ban on everything that has to do with tampering with the female genitalia.
That is very important. I just want you to help me clear this out. Does the Gambian law has, let's say you know that it is banned in the Gambia, you take your child from the Gambia here, take her to Casamas, mutilate her and brought her back to the Gambia. Does the Gambia has a law that says when a child is being mutilated cross-border, the parents can be held accountable?
Yes, because like I said, children are government property. And the child is Gambian. The child lives within the jurisdiction of the Gambia. The act done is on the child. So if you do an act that is illegal in the Gambia, outside of the Gambia, and the child comes to the Gambia and it's known that this act was done to the girl outside of the Gambia, you can equally be prosecuted under this law.
That is very important. This brought us to the end of our program. Indeed, it's an interesting program. But before we close our program, we will allow Mariam, who is a who is a social worker, and they're doing amazing well. This is a one-stop center that you can always visit when you have issues regarding your child or yourself as a woman, to go and talk to them, and they can assist you in any ways that they can help, and even go to the Network Against Gender-Based Violence. They can also assist you on guide you in ways that you can also be protected as a woman and as a girl, or in general as everyone when it comes to the issue of gender-based violence. Mariama, what would be your final word? Aminata, sorry.
Yeah, Maimuna, what I want to say is an issue of rape, that the majority of the cases that we receive at the one-stop center, the majority of them are rape cases. And these are mostly below the age of 18. And then I want to also tell the public, the people out there, when they have such cases, let them report the cases. They can report it at the Network Against Gender-Based Violence, FLAG, that is Female Lawyers Association, the Gambia, because we also work with them. We also work with the police, that is under the Department of Child Welfare, yes, officers, Department of Social Welfare. They can report their cases, and their cases can be brought to the one-stop centers. And when they come there, we will offer support and the available services that we can render to them. And we can also, show them the way that they can have access to other services that are not available in our one-stop center. So I will say a very big thank you for inviting me today. I'm very happy to share the platform with you, with my bosses and my sister Mariama. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aminata. We honor having you here. Uncle Palu, what will be your final words to our viewers over there?
Yeah, my final word is just a word of caution to the general public that what is prohibited by law is prohibited, and we should all respect the law. Whether is it FGM, is child marriage, or issues regarding to sexual violence, these are all prohibited acts, and everybody should respect the law and ensure that we try our best to ensure our children, our women, our men and boys are protected from these harmful acts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle Palu. It was an honor having you, and to you, Mariama.
Thank you very much. I would just say we were mostly focused on children, but that does not mean that adults are not also raped. I think it's the stigma that surrounds the issue of rape. That's why there's very little reporting when it comes to adults that are being raped. That being said, if such incidents happen, the society should rally behind the victim and protect the victim. It's very important for the community, because the first point of protection is the community. If the community fails to protect the victim, then the victim will be afraid to report the matter. So the empowerment comes from the society as a whole. And if we want to drive this menace away from our society, we must stand in solidarity with the victims and not the perpetrators. We should stop the Maslaha syndrome stop protecting the perpetrators. If you protect a perpetrator, he will do it again. And this will be a circle of violence in our community. So to drive this menace away from our society, please let us support the victims. Come forward when you're called to testify by the police and the Ministry of Justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really an interesting program, and I hope you have learned something out of it. We are not here to we're not here to force you to abide by the law, but we are here to discuss with you as families, as brothers and sisters, because we also live in our society to ensure that our girls and men or young people are safe and healthy. This program, as I said, was brought to you by the Network Against Gender Based Violence, working tirelessly to ensure that every person is safe in our society. I was your host, Memna Pumende, and bye-bye.